and welcome back to my channel. Today's tutorial is going to be about how to correct skin tones in Lightroom. So I've had a few people request this video, so I thought I would do this today. And I'm going to just first of all let you guys know that I am currently in a campsite in New Zealand. So I'm sorry if the sound is a bit echoey because I am in a room and it is quite echoey. But let's be real, my audio is not really the greatest at the best of times. But I thought I should let you guys know, and also I'm a little bit sick, so I'm really trying with this tutorial, but hopefully I can get all the information across to you guys today easily enough. So I'm going to jump straight into it. So we've got Lightroom open here, and I generally find that my images, when I upload the raws into Lightroom, I feel like the skin tones can be a little bit too saturated, a little bit too much on the orange side for my liking. I'm not sure if anyone else really experiences this with their photos or whether it's just mine, but I just genuinely feel that that's how it looks to my eyes. So there's a few different things that I like to do in Lightroom to correct this. And obviously it's going to change from skin tone to skin tone. I might actually do a tutorial for darker skin tones as well, because it is a different process overall. So in the Develop tab just over here, this is where we've got all our adjustments. So just over here underneath Profile, you've also got a series of different categories that you can choose from for your base coloring profile. And this will be applied to your raw photographs in Lightroom. So I'm going to show you guys the profiles that are available on Lightroom at the moment for me. So I've got Adobe Color, Adobe Monochrome, Landscape, Portrait, Adobe Standard, Adobe Vivid, and Faithful, Camera Faithful. So generally I like to use Camera Faithful because I just feel like it tones the skin a little bit better. You can see the before and after there. I personally like the skin tones and how they look a little bit more with that setting. However, I know that this isn't going to be available for everyone because as far as I'm aware, Camera Faithful would be for my specific camera, a Canon 5D Mark IV. So instead, I'm just going to go with the default, which is Adobe Color, and hopefully most people will have this option either way. So I'm just going to close that, and we're going to leave it on Adobe Color for now. And as you can see with this image, it is looking a little bit orange toned, especially within the skin tones, and it's a little bit uneven too because there's a little bit more light on Sophie's face rather than her lower half here. So I'm going to start by just adjusting the skin tones on the side here. So I would say the first thing that I usually do is by going down to the colorings down here. So the HSL/color box, and then I would go to saturation, which it's already currently selected. So I usually find that obviously because the skin tones are looking quite orange right now, I can just move the orange tab here and move that down with the slider. And that will hopefully desaturate some of the oranges in the skin tone. So I'm going to move that down now. And you can see it does tend to drain the color. We don't want to do it too much because you don't want to make them look sick or obviously like there's no color at all in the skin tone. But we're going to move it down to a decent amount. I would say probably about at least -13 is looking pretty good to me. I personally just like how that looks a little bit more, and I don't think it has as much of an orange tint to the skin tone. So then I would go into the luminance tab just here next to saturation. And once again, this is a little bit different to saturation. Luminance is more or less altering the colors of the image with their lighting, so you can make certain colors darker or lighter within the image. So with the orange tab just here in the slider, I'm going to move that down a little bit, because I do find this tends to deepen skin tones a little bit more. You might have to lighten the image a little bit overall, but I think it makes the highlights stand out just that little bit more in Lightroom, and I really do like using this as a bit of a function. So I'm going to move that to -20, and I'm going to undo that just so you guys can see the before. So that is the before. That is the after. So you can see it brings in a little bit more texture into the skin tones as well. I just prefer how that looks overall on beauty photographs especially. So once those two sliders have been altered, I'm going to go back up to the top here, and I'm just going to adjust the highlights a little bit more on the skin tone. So I'm going to pump them up just a little bit. This might be different for each photo obviously, but this is just looking a little bit dark at the moment. So I'm going to move that up to around +12. The exposure can probably be moved up just slightly. And I would usually alter the clarity and texture just a little bit too. So with the clarity, I'm just going to move that up a little bit. And the texture, I'm going to move that up a little bit as well. Not too much though, because the overuse of that slider actually is quite apparent. I'm just going to move the white balance down as well, just a little bit to cool it a bit. So I'm just going to move that down just very slightly, just so we've got a little bit more of a cool toned image. Okay, so the skin tone is looking a lot better now, I feel. One thing that I would say with skin tone color correction in Lightroom as well is that you can also use the vibrance slider down here to desaturate the image a little bit more, depending on what kind of look you're going for. I would usually put it down a little bit, maybe to around, say, -3 in this instance, just a little bit. You don't, once again, want to make it look too sickly or too desaturated overall, but I just usually pump the vibrance down just a little bit to give it a little bit more of a professional edge. And another thing you can also do is by going back down to the hue tab here. So this is if you have skin tones that are a little bit too red or a little bit too yellow. You can actually move the orange slider or the red slider and really achieve the right skin tone color that you're after there, and the warmth and coolness as well. So you can kind of add red or add a little bit of orange depending on what it needs. I think this skin tone maybe just needs a little bit, just slightly of red. So I'm just going to leave that there like that, but that's another option that you can use for skin tones in Lightroom as well. Now the last thing I'm going to show you guys is just using the adjustment brush up here. So if you click on that, and I'm going to say show selected mask overlay, and I'm going to paint over this area here to mask in, and we're going to just brighten that up a little bit more to match it in with Sophie's face, because it's a little bit too dark down here and it looks a little bit mismatched at the moment due to the lighting. So I'm just going to start painting this in. It doesn't have to be too neat. Okay, so once that's pretty much painted in, I'm going to say show selected mask overlay off now, just so we don't have to see the red there. And I'm going to just start adjusting the highlights just on the bottom to make them a little bit brighter. And maybe upping the white just a little bit. And I'm going to go to the saturation just down the bottom here and pull that down just a little bit. And we're going to move the tint, I reckon, just across to the pink a little bit more, just to kind of match that in with Sophie's face overall. And that just helps kind of give it that little bit more of a desaturated tone. I would usually go on to do the skin editing in Photoshop after this. I don't always correct skin tones in Lightroom, but if I do, this is generally my process. I would make sure my images are in RAW first, because obviously RAW will retain a lot more information than a JPEG image, and you'll be able to work with the skin tones more in Lightroom and at a better rate. So I would usually do this, and then I would import it into Photoshop and start doing my skin retouching. So I'm going to show you guys a before and after now. This is the before image, so you can see that the skin tone is quite orange looking in this shot. And this is the after. So you can see that the skin tone is much more desaturated now. Obviously you can adjust these sliders to your liking. They don't have to be exactly the same as mine. This is how I like to have my images, and everyone has a different style of what they like in their photographs and how they like to tone their images. But I thought I'd show you guys a few little tips in Lightroom on how I usually do alter the skin tones to make them look a little better. So I'm going to show you guys another before and after quickly now. So that is the before, and that is the after. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and if you have any more requests for videos like this one, please feel free to let me know in the comments section below. Also, if you haven't already checked out my new presets for Lightroom and Photoshop, they are now available through my website, kayleejune.com, and I do have a set of Lightroom skin bases and neutral retouching presets, specifically for Lightroom and Photoshop. So you can go and check them out. They're really good for beginners who are just looking to find ways to tone their images, and they're very customizable too for your own images. So you can check them out on kayleejune.com. And once again, very sorry about the audio if it sounds very echoey. I am camping in New Zealand at the moment, so it is a little bit hard for me to keep up with my videos, but I do so when I can. So sorry about that. But thank you guys so much for watching, and like I said, if you've got any requests, let me know. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please click subscribe and click the notification bell to make sure you see all my videos that will be coming up in future weeks. Thanks again guys for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!